Somewhere right now, a younger version of you is looking up, waiting for you to become the hero you promised you'd be. And somewhere else, an older version of you is looking back in regret because you chose a nap over a legacy. You're currently failing both of them just to feel comfortable for 10 more minutes. If you're okay with letting them down, keep scrolling. But if you have an ounce of respect for the person you were meant to be, subscribe. Let's see if you actually mean it. Music, low, vibrating sub-bass. The sound of a heartbeat that slowly fades into a ticking clock. Take a look around you. Not at the walls of your room, but at the walls of your life. They feel safe, don't they? They feel warm. You've spent years decorating this space with excuses and soft pillows, making sure that every corner is padded so you never have to feel the sharp edge of reality. But there's a truth you've been whispering to yourself in the middle of the night when the screen glow dies down and the silence becomes deafening. This comfort isn't a reward. It's a coffin. You are currently lying in a warm grave of your own making. Every time you chose the easy path, you added another shovelful of dirt over your potential. You told yourself you were resting, but rest is for the man who has finished the battle. You haven't even picked up your sword. You're resting from the exhaustion of thinking about working, and while you lie there, paralyzed by the luxury of your own laziness, the version of you that was supposed to change the world is suffocating. Does that sting? Good. It should. Because the most dangerous place on earth isn't a war zone, it's the couch where you feel content, while your bank account is empty, your body is softening, and your dreams are becoming ghosts. You've become a professional at negotiating with your own greatness. You tell yourself, I'll start when I'm ready, or I just need a break. But let's be honest, you've been on a break for 3 years. You aren't recharging your batteries, you're letting them leak acid into your soul. Look at your hands. They were designed to build, to grip, to pull yourself up from the dirt. Instead, they're used to scroll through the lives of people who actually had the courage to be uncomfortable. You're cheering for strangers on a screen while your own life story is being written in invisible ink. You are a spectator at your own funeral, watching the minutes of your life tick away like sand through a broken hourglass. The terrifying part isn't that you're failing. The terrifying part is that you've become comfortable with failing. You've made peace with mediocrity. You've tucked yourself in, turned off the lights of your ambition, and decided that good enough is a place to stay. But the air is getting thin in this warm grave. The walls are closing in. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to strip away the padding. I'm going to show you the silent sabotage that's happening while you sleep. I'm going to show you why your brain is wired to keep you a loser, and how to kill the version of you that loves the shade more than the sun. If you stay, you're agreeing to be uncomfortable. If you leave, you're agreeing to die slowly. The shovel is in your hand. Are you going to keep digging, or are you ready to climb out? Music, a low, rhythmic pulse starts, like a ticking watch. Every 10 seconds, a faint, distorted bell tolls in the background. One day. It is the most expensive lie ever told. It's the lullaby you sing to yourself to quiet the screaming of your unfulfilled potential. You say, one day I'll start the business, one day I'll get in shape, one day I'll be the person my family actually deserves. You treat one day like it's a destination on a map, a specific date on a calendar that you're slowly drifting toward. But I'm here to tell you that one day does not exist. It is a ghost. It is a mirage designed to keep you walking through the desert until you drop dead of thirst. While you are waiting for the perfect moment, the universe is laughing at you. Because perfection is a shield used by cowards. You're waiting for the stars to align, for the bank account to be full, for the house to be quiet, and for your confidence to magically appear. But confidence isn't a prerequisite for action, it is the result of it. By waiting to feel ready, you are guaranteeing that you will never start. You are waiting for a train that isn't coming to a station you haven't even built. Every time you utter the words, "not yet," a part of your future self dies. Imagine that version of you, the one who made it, the one who took the risk, standing in a room 5 years from now. Every time you procrastinate today, you are literally reaching into the future and stripping the clothes off that person's back. You are stealing their success before they can even taste it. You aren't just putting things off, you are committing a slow-motion robbery of your own legacy. Why are you so afraid of now? It's because now requires a decision, and a decision requires a sacrifice. To start now, you have to sacrifice the version of you that likes to hide. You have to admit that you don't know everything. You have to be okay with looking like a fool for a season so you can look like a legend for a lifetime. The one-day trap is a sedative. It numbs the pain of your current failure by promising a future that you have no intention of building. It's a drug, and you're addicted to the feeling of having a dream without the burden of executing it. You love the fantasy, but you hate the friction. But look at the clock. Sound, the ticking grows louder, more aggressive. That second that just passed? It's gone. You can't buy it back with all the money in the world. You just traded a piece of your finite life for, what? Another thought about what you might do? The myth of one day ends here. Because if it isn't day one, it's none day. If you don't grab the throat of this moment, the moment will pass you by and offer itself to someone who isn't afraid of the friction. Someone who realizes that now is the only doorway out of the grave we discussed in Chapter 1. The sun is setting on your excuses. In the next chapter, we're going to look at the people around you, the ones who are helping you stay asleep. It's time to perform a social autopsy. Music, the ticking clock fades. A cold, ambient, echoing synth takes over. It feels lonely, almost cinematic, like walking through a crowded room where you don't belong. You've heard it before, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But you didn't listen. You thought you were the exception. You thought you could swim in a swamp and stay clean. You thought you could hang around people with no vision and somehow keep your own sight. You were wrong. Comfort isn't just a habit, it's a social contract. Without realizing it, you've signed a deal with the people around you. The deal is simple: I won't grow, so that you don't feel bad about staying the same. It's a pact of mediocrity. And the moment you decide to break that contract, the moment you start waking up at 5 a.m., reading the books, and talking about your legacy, the warmth of your social circle will turn into a deep, biting cold. Why? Because your growth is a mirror. When you start changing, you force the people around you to look at their own stagnation. They don't want to see your success, they want to see their own excuses validated. So they will pull you back. They won't do it with a punch, they'll do it with a joke. They'll do it with an invitation to a party you shouldn't go to. They'll do it with a "Why are you working so hard? Relax, you've got time." This is the cost of being liked. Most of you are dying a slow death because you are more afraid of a lonely Friday night than you are of a wasted life. You are literally trading your destiny for the approval of people who won't even be at your funeral. Look at your inner circle. Do they talk about ideas, or do they talk about people? Do they celebrate your wins, or do they check your ego? If you are the smartest, most driven person in your room, you aren't a leader, you're a prisoner. You are in a room with no ceiling, but the walls are made of the low expectations of your friends. Greatness is a lonely road. It has to be. If everyone was on it, it wouldn't be greatness, it would be them all. To become the version of you that we discussed in Chapter 1, you have to be okay with being the outsider. You have to be okay with the group chat going quiet when you enter. You have to be okay with the cost of admission, which usually includes losing the people who knew you when you were average. It's painful. It's supposed to be. But what's more painful? Being lonely for a season while you build a kingdom, or being popular in a circle of people who are all headed for the same warm grave? Stop asking for permission to be great from people who are satisfied with being good enough. Their advice is just a reflection of their own fears. Their concern for your stress is actually a concern for their own comfort. They need you to stay in the mud with them so they don't have to admit they're dirty. The social autopsy is over. You've seen the parasites. Now, the real war begins. Because even if you cut the world off, there is one person left who is still trying to sabotage the mission. In the next chapter, we meet your greatest enemy. He's been in the room with you this entire time. He knows your every weakness because he lives behind your eyes. Music, the synth fades into a low, metallic hum. It's a rhythmic, droning sound, almost like a migraine. Visuals shift to a person staring intensely into a mirror, the reflection slightly distorted. You've looked at the grave, you've looked at the clock, and you've looked at your friends. But now, we have to look at the person holding the pen. Every morning, before your feet even hit the floor, a voice wakes up with you. He's smooth, he's reasonable, and he's the most dangerous liar you will ever meet. He is the negotiator. He doesn't scream, he whispers. He doesn't tell you to quit, he tells you to recalculate. When the alarm goes off, he's the one who says, "You stayed up late working on your vision, you've earned an extra 30 minutes. When you're at the gym and your lungs are burning, he's the one who says, if you push too hard today, you'll be too sore to work tomorrow. Let's just do one more set and call it a win. He is a master of the good enough deal. And every time you accept his terms, you aren't just resting, you are signing away a piece of your soul. The negotiator is the architect of the slow death. He knows that if he told you to give up on your dreams entirely, you'd fight back. Your ego wouldn't allow it. So instead, he sells you a discounted version of your life. He convinces you that 70% is basically 100%. He convinces you that watching a how-to video is the same as doing the work. He turns your ambition into a hobby and your hunger into a vibe. Why is he so successful? Because he uses your own logic against you. He knows your fears. He knows that you are terrified of the diamond pressure we talked about. So he offers you the coal comfort. He tells you that the now we discussed in Chapter 2 is too risky. He whispers that if you try and fail, everyone from Chapter 3 will laugh at you. You are currently a slave to a voice that is terrified of your own potential. Stop and think about the last time you followed through on a promise to yourself. Not a promise to your boss, or your mother, or your friends, but a promise to you. Most of you haven't kept a deal with yourselves in years. You've become the person who can't be trusted by the most important person in the room. You've let the negotiator win so many times that his voice has become your default settings. But here is the payoff: the negotiator only has power because you think he is you. He's not. He is a survival mechanism left over from a time when humans had to conserve energy to avoid starving. But you aren't starving. You're overfed and underchallenged. To kill the negotiator, you have to stop talking to him. You don't argue. You don't consider the options. When the work needs to be done, you become a machine. You move without thought. You act without permission. You realize that the voice in your head is just noise, a ghost in the machine trying to keep you in the warm grave. But even if you silence the voice, there is a physical reality you cannot escape. You can silence the mind, but can you handle the weight? Because once the negotiator is gone, the world is going to test if you were actually ready for the silence. In the next chapter, we stop talking about the mind and start talking about the crush. We're moving from the internal war to the external grind. Music, the drone of the previous chapter, is replaced by a heavy, driving industrial beat. It's the sound of a factory, of hammers hitting steel. The visuals are gritty, close-ups of sweat, iron being forged, and athletes collapsing in exhaustion. You've spent your entire life running from the one thing that could actually save you. You've been taught to seek balance. You've been told to take it easy. You've been convinced that stress is a disease and that a smooth life is a successful one. That lie is why you are still average. Look at a diamond. It didn't start as a masterpiece, it started as a piece of coal that didn't quit. It was buried. It was forgotten. It was subjected to a weight so heavy that any other substance would have crumbled into dust. But the coal stayed. It endured the crushing darkness and the blistering heat until the very molecules of its being were forced to rearrange. It didn't become a diamond because it was special, it became a diamond because it could handle the pressure. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is the signal that you have finally left the warm grave of Chapter 1. The moment your heart starts racing, the moment your palms get sweaty, the moment the world feels like it's squeezing the life out of you, that is the moment you should be celebrating. Because pressure is a privilege. It means you are in the game. It means you have finally stepped into the arena where the only way out is up. Most people fail because they think the pressure is a sign to stop. When the work gets hard, when the debt gets heavy, when the criticism gets loud, they think, maybe this isn't for me. They run back to the comfort of the negotiator. They retreat to the safety of their average friends. They choose the slow death because the quick crush of growth is too terrifying. But if you want the prize, you must love the process. And the process is ugly. It is a series of cuts that strip away the parts of you that don't belong in the future. The heat is there to burn off your ego. The weight is there to strengthen your will. If your life isn't challenging you, it isn't changing you. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly under pressure? When was the last time you put everything on the line? If the answer is never, then you aren't living, you're just existing. You're like a high-performance engine that's never been out of the garage. You look shiny, but you're useless. The slow death is easy because it requires zero pressure. It's a slow, comfortable erosion of your soul. But the diamond life requires you to stand still while the world tries to break you. It requires you to look the stress in the eye and say, is that all you've got? You don't need a stress-free life. You need a life so big that it forces you to become a giant just to survive it. You need to be the person who runs toward the fire because you know that's where the gold is refined. But be careful. Because once you accept the pressure, once you start the transformation, you will realize that most of your day is still spent in the shadows. You can handle the big weights, but can you handle the small, silent moments? In the next chapter, we perform the most brutal audit of all. We're going to look at what you do when the world is asleep and no one is there to clap for you. Are you ready for the audit of the dark? Music, the industrial beat cuts out instantly. Replace it with a cold, minimalist rhythmic pulse, like a heart monitor. The visuals are raw, the blue light of a phone illuminating a face in a dark room, an empty pizza box, a clock showing 2:47 a.m. It is easy to be a lion when the lights are on. It is easy to post the grind quotes on Instagram while the sun is up and the world is watching. But who are you at 11:30 p.m., when the house is silent, the laptop is closed, and you are alone with your impulses? This is where the slow death actually happens. Most of you aren't failing because of a lack of talent. You aren't failing because the economy is bad or because your boss is a jerk. You are failing in the dark hours, those small, unguarded gaps of time between your responsibilities and your bed. It's the 2 hours of mindless scrolling. It's the one more episode on Netflix. It's the secret habits you'd be ashamed to explain to the version of you that wants to be a millionaire. You think those hours don't count? You think the world resets every morning? You're wrong. Every minute you spend feeding an algorithm instead of your ambition, you are leaking power. You are an elite athlete who trains all day but drinks poison all night. You are building a temple with one hand and setting it on fire with the other. This is the audit of the dark. I want you to look at your screen time report not as a statistic, but as a crime scene. Look at the hours you've murdered. Look at the data and realize that you aren't tired, you're bored. You aren't relaxing, you're escaping. You are so terrified of the silence of your own mind that you have to fill it with the noise of strangers' lives. You are a digital sharecropper, working on someone else's land for a like, while your own kingdom remains a wasteland. The negotiator from Chapter 4 loves the dark. In the dark, he doesn't have to be reasonable. He just has to be tempting. He whispers that, it's been a long day, and that, you deserve this. But you don't deserve a distraction. You deserve a destination. Greatness is not a public event. It is a private practice. A championship is just the public recognition of 1,000 audits of the dark that went correctly. It's the athlete who does the extra set when the coach has gone home. It's the entrepreneur who studies the data when their eyes are burning. It is the refusal to be a consumer when you were born to be a creator. If I walked into your room right now and looked at your search history, your trash can, and your schedule, would I see a future king, or would I see a permanent peasant? Would I see a man who respects his time, or a man who treats it like garbage? You can lie to your friends. You can lie to your followers. But you cannot lie to the results. The dark always comes to light. The slow death you've been feeding at 2 a.m. will eventually manifest as a midlife crisis at 45. But there is a weight even heavier than the truth of your habits. It's the weight of the people who are counting on you to stop being a ghost. In the next chapter, we talk about the ghosts of the future. We talk about the debt you owe to people who haven't even met you yet. Music, the pulse slows down. A deep, mournful cello begins to play over a cinematic, ethereal pad. The visuals transition from the dark room to slow-motion shots of an aging parent's hands, a child looking up with expectation, and an empty chair at a high-end boardroom table. We have spent this time talking about your grave, your time, and your habits. But let's stop being selfish for a moment. Let's talk about the people who are currently paying the price for your slow death. Your laziness is not a victimless crime. Every day that you choose comfort over courage, you are committing an act of theft. You are stealing security from your parents, who are getting older and weaker while you stay undecided. You are stealing a legacy from your children, who will have to start from zero because you were too afraid to build a foundation. You are stealing a hero from the people who look at you and desperately want to believe that greatness is possible. You think you have the right to be average? You don't. You are the result of thousands of years of survival. Your ancestors fought through plagues, wars, and famine just so you could have the luxury of existing. They didn't survive so you could spend 4 hours a day watching other people live their dreams. They didn't bleed so you could be tired after a 8-hour shift. You are a walking, breathing debt to the past, and right now, you are defaulting on the loan. Think about the person you love most in this world. Now, imagine them in a crisis. Imagine them needing a level of financial, emotional, or physical strength that you simply do not possess because you were too busy relaxing 5 years ago. Imagine the look in their eyes when they realize that the person they counted on is too weak to save them. That is the true cost of your comfort. Most of you are waiting for a why to drop out of the sky. You're waiting for a magical spark of passion. But your why is sitting right across from you at the dinner table. Your why is the mother who worked 2 jobs so you could have shoes on your feet. Your why is the younger brother who mimics everything you do. If you can't get out of bed for your own dreams, get out of bed for their survival. When Eric Thomas said, "I'm going after my wife's MS," he wasn't talking about a hobby. He was talking about a war. He realized that his work ethic was the only thing standing between his family and a wheelchair. He turned his ambition into an insurance policy. What is your work ethic ensuring? Right now, it's ensuring a life of just enough. It's ensuring that if a tragedy hits, your family is going down with the ship. You owe it to them to be the strongest version of yourself. You owe it to them to be the one who made it. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to be rich or powerful. You should feel guilty for staying small when the people you love are counting on you to be big. The audit is complete. You've seen the coffin, the clock, the parasites, the negotiator, and the debt. The emotional weight is at its peak. There is nowhere left to hide. In our final chapter, we stop the talking. We stop the music. We perform the first cut. Visuals, a stark, white room. A single chair. Then, a fast montage of all the previous chapters, the grave, the clock, the fake friends, the phone glow, flashing in black and white before cutting to a pitch-black screen with one sentence, "It ends now." The talking is over. The motivation has left the room. You've spent 30 minutes staring into a mirror that I held up for you, and now you have a choice that will define the next decade of your life. You are standing at the edge of the warm grave, and you have 2 options. You can tuck yourself back in, pull the blanket of excuses over your head, and wait for the dirt to finish falling, or you can perform the first cut. The first cut is the most painful thing you will ever do. It is the moment you stop trying and start executing. It is the surgical removal of the person you were 10 minutes ago. To let the king live, the peasant must die. To let the diamond emerge, the coal must be crushed. You are about to witness your own funeral, the funeral of your average self. Don't wait for the video to end to feel inspired. Inspiration is a fair-weather friend. What you need is hatred. You need to develop a healthy, burning hatred for your own mediocrity. You need to be so disgusted by the hours you've wasted and the lies you've told that you can no longer stand the sight of your current habits. Most people watch a video like this and say, "That was deep," before going right back to the scrolling, the snacking, and the one-day thinking. If that's you, leave this channel. Don't subscribe. Don't come back. This space isn't for spectators, it's for the few who are willing to bleed in the dark so they can shine in the light. But if you are still here, if your heart is pounding against your ribs like a prisoner trying to escape, then the transformation has already begun. The first cut isn't a grand gesture. It's not a New Year's resolution. It is the small, brutal decision you make the second this screen goes black. It's deleting the app that steals your time. It's making the call you've been avoiding. It's doing the 1 hour of work you promised the negotiator you'd skip. The first cut is the proof that you are finally in control of the shovel. Look at the clock one last time. This version of you, the one who made excuses, the one who let their family down, the one who lived in the slow death, is officially dead. We are burying him right here, in this moment. Do not mourn him. He was a thief. He was a coward. He was a shadow. Now, walk away from the grave. Your new life doesn't start tomorrow. It doesn't start when you feel ready. It starts when you decide that the slow death is no longer an option. You have the tools. You have the why. You have the pressure. Now, do the work. The screen fades to black. No music. Just the sound of a single, heavy door slamming shut.